And then you had Enos Cantor saying, if you play with someone like LeBron, it's all about LeBron. And if the season fails, then you need some kind of scapegoat. After that, look at his career. This guy can't even find a team right now. He's talking about Russell Westbrook. So basically, he's blaming Westbrook's uh, the decline in his career and him currently not even being on a team on that season and a half that he played with LeBron. And, it's kind of interesting because if you go back and you look at Westbrook averaged a triple double 4 out of 5 years. The last year was with Washington in 2021. Then he comes to the Lakers, he plays a year and a half, and really ever since then, his career has not been the same. It just changed the way that people looked at him. Because he started that first year with the Lakers. And the next year he was like coming off the bench, and they traded him, and that's when he became a basically like a someone who was seen as a bench player. So that was it. Really, low key was the. Uh, it was the end of Westbrook's career as we knew it when he went to LA and had that. He didn't play well. He was playing, I think he played 78 games. He played well as like the third option on the team, but overall they didn't even make the playoffs and they went so poorly. And they traded him halfway through the next year and made the conference finals. And ever since then, he's been a bench player. And I think uh, it just changed the way that people look at him. And I think it's kind of like Allen Iverson. I think when we had Matthew Peralta on the podcast a few years ago, uh, we talked about this. I think we talked. It was Russell Westbrook, and I brought up Allen Iverson and how Iverson ended his career. And I remember him saying that he'd rather uh, retire than come off the bench. And Westbrook didn't do that. Westbrook accepted coming off the bench. You know, after being an MVP and like I said, averaging a triple double 4 times and having this great Hall of Fame career, he accepted coming off the bench. It was hard for a lot of guys like that to do. They think that they should always be the man, but he accepted his role. And yet, after last year with Denver, he opted out of his player option. Denver was a team that almost made the conference finals. Last year, they took OKC to 7 games, and now he's out of it. Westbrook is sitting there out of a job. I thought he'd end up in Sacramento or Milwaukee since they needed a point guard. I know Kevin Durant said yesterday it'd be cool for him to come to Houston so they could reunite. Obviously, Houston lost Fred Van Fleet, so they're in need for some help at that lead guard spot. But I don't know if they want. Westbrook is. He's been such a great player, but he's just kind of the sort of guy who doesn't really fit. If you need him to, like he doesn't really fit under like a winning culture. It is what it is. Even when he was with Durant and OKC, I really, I think Durant was a big part of the problem too because he's not a leader, you know. But just the way Westbrook plays, it seems like more like the type of guy who, you know, he always talk about who really would have been better off if his whole career he just really kind of like an Allen Iverson. Iverson always had his own team in Philly, and that was really the best type of role for Westbrook. But he really only had like a few years like that. Every other year he would have a Paul George with him, or of course the Durant years he played with James Harden that one year, uh, and then he played with LeBron and AD. Uh, but I think it just sort of um, he's really like the Allen Iverson of his era. A spectacular athlete, a spectacular player, always gave you a chance to win. You know, back then what Iverson did in making the finals that year, it wasn't really something I don't think ever could have happened for Westbrook in this era. It could have happened back then if he had played in that era, but this era it's really more competitive. You know, so um, yeah. But yeah, hopefully, Russ catches on with the team. And even if he doesn't, man, he also had a Hall of Fame career, made so much money. So But I'm not sure he wishes he could go out on his own terms rather than basically being, like Mayweather said, I want to retire from boxing. I'm not going to let boxing retire me. Hopefully Westbrook is able to retire on his own terms instead of the NBA deciding that they've moved on from Russell Westbrook.